Upanishads, the Katha Upanishad, one of the greatest Upanishads, where a 12-year-old boy asked very pertinent question to the god of death. God of death. And how it happened was, there was a king, he was a great king, and he wanted to earn more merit. And India in olden days would believe that doing the fire sacrificing of fire, will bring merit. And if you do that sacrifice, you have to actually give away all your property. All your property you have to give away. And the king will become a pauper, but then he will be a king again. That's the cycle. And so, rags to riches and riches to rags, that's what they call in modern English language. So it was riches to rags, that's what happened. Then, so he performed that yajna, what they call it. So performed that sacrifice and the fire. And then he has to give away things. But he was a little bit greedy person, he had that ambition, and ambition he had not to give up everything, you see. Little bit had to keep. So what he did was, he was shrewd also. He wanted to give away all his cattle. And he gave away the cattle. What kind of cattle they were? They were old, emaciated, barren, blind and deaf. That kind of cattle he gave away the cattle. And it was a very niggardly act on the part of a king who can do that kind of thing. So his son, one of his sons, his youngest son, he's only 12 years old. When he saw this terrible thing his father is doing, see what his father was doing, see the children have that ability in those days to know what the father is doing. If it's wrong, they will go and tell it's wrong. They are doing wrong. See, they had great knowledge. That knowledge they had. From birth they would get the knowledge because they were born in a very auspicious circumstances. That means the father and mother were devoted to God, and they always used to pray and worship, and in those circumstances children were born. So they had the vibration of spiritual vibration. The divine intrication of the divine into their psyche. That's what the divine always interceded. So he seeded also, in the psyche itself, the divine. So this boy had the courage to ask a king, father who was a king, great king, well known to everybody, asked the question, Father, I'm also your property. He saw that it was such a bad act on the part of his father. So he says, I'm also your property. Whom are you going to give me? He didn't. The king didn't answer anything. But then he was telling that if they take these cows, these cattle, they'll become more poor in taking care of this blind, deaf and dumb cattle. You see? So it's not a wealth. You give to that. And it will not bring you any merit. So he wanted to tell the king it will not bring any merit to you. See, a 12-year-old boy. You see, nowadays what happens in the modern world, generally the children go on drugs and all those things. And they will ask the parents not about any kind of advice, or tell the parents, what good things they have done or not. But they would ask them, did you have marijuana when you were growing up? Did you have drugs when you were growing up? Hey, this is a dastardly thing to do. So, it's not a question of asking, but this boy, 12-year-old boy, has great, lofty ideas. See, and he asked the king, so you have given all those things to people and you made them more poor. And so whom you are going to give me? So the king listened to it one time, but he was very persistent, like Lynn. Very persistent, Very persistent. So many times he asked. The king became so angry, he said, I will give you to death. Yama, that means God of death. And that's it. Then the king said, no, I out of fit of anger, that's instant insanity he had. He said those things. So please, that's not true. He said, no, I will not make your words false. Now, do you give me the God of death? I will go to God of death. And in those days, they could go to any gods. They had the power to go to any gods. So, he goes to the God of death. He went alone, 12-year-old boy. And he was a Brahmin, he had a great tejas, that means called the aura of a Brahmin is something different than They were of ordinary people. They had the Jesus means that such knowledge they had, so rich in knowledge. They had richness of, the aura, the very presence of them, had your magnetic field. They would break through your magnetic field and pierce through your heart and make you good. That's what you are. And this failure has it. She goes to Yama's kingdom. He's out, the god of death. So the god of death was not there. Here he was, collecting bodies and all. So dead people's bodies to collect. So he waited there, and all the servants there, they asked him to wait. The Lord is not here, the great Lord of death is not here. So asked him to wait. He waited for 3 days and 3 nights. And then Yama came. And the servants told him, there is a great Brahmin boy waiting for you, a guest, and you are not here. He felt very bad. Even the god of death, with all the power and everything, he had to respect that guest. Guest he has to respect. So, this guest was here for 3 days, and he was not there. So he came and touched his feet. God of death touched his feet. And he said, I'm so sorry I was not here. I know how much you suffered by waiting for me for 3 days and 3 nights. And I didn't my duties properly. Then he washed his feet and everything and called him and took him. So what can I do for you? Oh God of death, now I see your face. Still I am alive. He said, no, you're dead. He said, no, I'm still alive. I can see you, see. So you can do one thing for me, what? That, what the Yama said, immediately said, don't ask me anything. I'll give you 3 boons. For making you to wait for 3 days, I'll give you 3 boons. You ask anything you want. Then, well, he said, the boy prodigy said, well, when I go back, he wanted to make sure that he goes back from the house of death. Okay? So, when I go back, see that my father recognizes me and welcomes me. Yes, he said, Tathastu means granted. Okay. He granted that boon. Okay, well, he said second time, whatever the second boon he asked. That was a little bit difficult, the second boon. He asked it, that all the kingdom of my father should prosper and he should have good mind and good heart and all those things. He asked that. And then he asked it to give it to him. And he said, I will give you a special a bonus boon, because you are very good, I will tell you. A bonus boon, called a bonus boon. Anything he asked. Okay. But Emma said, I will give you, see, all these things you boon you asking, I will give you all those things what you ask. But one thing, I want to know what you want to ask me first. He said, oh Lord, death is certain to people. What happens after death? The secret of death. What happens after death? You are the only one who can answer me that question, And a lot of people have gone, and some wise people say they exist. Some people say they do not. So death. So what do you say? What do you say? He said, that question cannot be answered. Okay. Because even God did not understand the mystery of death and all these things, long ago. So that question is not a proper question to ask. But in this Nachiketa was such a person. And he gave him a boon in the meanwhile. He said, I will teach you the all yajnas and all those things, and you will prosper, and this fire sacrifice and everything I will teach. He taught all those things to him. And he became very proficient in some days, he became very proficient. And so he was very much pleased. All this he bribed him many ways. Don't ask that one question. Don't ask that one question. Because that's a great secret. Even gods do not know. Ordinary gods do not know. It's a great secret. Then he said, Yama said, I will give you kingdom and chariots and gold and horses and elephants and everything I will give you. That's one question you don't ask. I said, what are these? Are all temporary things what you are going to give me, Wealth, how long it will last? Property, how long it will last? Chariots and horses and elephants, how long it will last? Today it is there, tomorrow it is not there. But I want that question to answer. That's the very permanent question. That's the permanent question. And if I know that, and if you tell me that, I don't want anything else. No kingdom, nothing I want. You tell me that one, give me that answer to that. And Emma was in a fix, he was in a fix. The god of that, he was in a fix. And he said, I can tell you something about it, not everything. No, I want everything about it. That's that. You can tell me in one sentence, it's all right, or you can tell me a month, it's all right. I will be able to sit here and listen to it, whatever you say. So that passage I will read from this book. You got this book, right? So it's better I read. So he says, so he said, the man who has learned that the self is separate from the body, the senses and the mind, and has fully known him, the soul of truth, the subtle principle, such a man verily attains to him. That's God, that's what he says. Now here what happens, he gave him that yajna, the fire sacrifice, he taught him and said, this sacrifice will be known as Nachiketa sacrifice. Nachiketa. That he gave that also, but this boy wouldn't go away. He couldn't get rid of him, So he asked very pertinent questions. So after that, now he explains, tell me, O king, the supreme secret regarding which men doubt, no other boon will I ask. So men doubt about this death and life and all those things. So what you tell me about it? Whereupon the king of death, well pleased at heart, but he was not well pleased outwardly, he knew this boy has got something I must tell him, but his position as king of death, it prohibited him telling him the truth. Then he began to teach Nachiketa secret of immortality. He taught him. So, I'm not going to read all this, so we'll keep for next time some, But all the 12 Upanishads I'll teach you to him. My tenure of office here, right? So I'm officiating. Okay. The good. Now you see, this is a very beautiful thing. You must very clearly understand this. The good is one thing, because it's exact translation from Sanskrit. Therefore I'm reading this. The good is one thing. The pleasant is another. See, it is the good and bad. Good and pleasant. See, they are two different things. These two, differing in their ends, both prompt to action. So by pleasant you become very pleased and everything you act. By doing things, you do things, and good. Whatever good you want, you act. Whatever pleasant you want to act for it, you act. These two, differing in their ends, they have got different ends. End results are different. Good, end results of good is different, end result of pleasant is different, different. Both prompt to action. Blessed are they that choose the good. They that choose the pleasant miss the goal. Why it is so? The pleasant, you enter into a lot of temptations and all those things. I was telling my pepper today, you are tempted by the meat and all those things. So, temptation, that's a temptation. Yeah, see that how so miss the goal. Both the good and the pleasant present themselves to men. Both are there, they present themselves to you. You are not going to seek up the pleasant. The wise, having examined both, distinguish the one from the other. That's the discrimination, power of distinction. So that's Viveka. So, having examined both, distinguish the one from the other. The wise prefer the good to the pleasant. Okay. The foolish, driven by fleshly desires, temptations, and all those things. The pleasant to the good. They prefer pleasant to the good. Just a choice. See, pleasant to the good. They don't say, bad and good. See, this thing, they don't, how differentiated very beautifully. Pleasant and good. Pleasant is very pleasing, But the good is not so pleasing. But pleasant is very pleasing. But they prefer, the wise ones prefer the good, not the pleasant. If you always hanker of the pleasant, you may fall into a ditch, perhaps. Because you do not see the ground, you walk with your face up. There's something so attractive, there. The tree, this is the person. You look at the face of others, not the feet of others. So you fall into a ditch. Thou, O Nachiketa, having looked upon fleshly desires, delightful to the sense, which are delightful to sense, that renounced them all. He renounced all those things. His chariot and everything he offered to him. And the king of death can give you anything. See, that was Christ was tempted, by Lucifer. Right? Buddha was tempted by Mara. By pleasure, But they prefer, see, thou Nachiketa, having looked upon fleshly desires, delightful to the senses, that renounced them all, thou hast turned from the miry way wherein many a man wallows. That's a beautiful Sanskrit sentence, you can see. Far from each other and leading to different ends are ignorance and knowledge. They are also ignorance and knowledge. They are all connected, Thee, O Nachiketa, I regard as one who aspire after knowledge for a multitude of pleasant objects who are unable to tempt thee. Even the king of death could not tempt him. All those things. As he was shown, as Christ was shown, The Lucifer showed all those worlds and pleasant women and paradise and all those things he showed him. He was not tempted by it. So Nachiketa was not tempted by it. So there is one saying that Nachiketas became Christ, in the incarnation. Yeah, so far from each other, okay? Yeah, multitude of pleasant objects were unable to tempt thee. Living in the abyss of ignorance, yet wise in their own conceit. The people see this, how beautiful it is. The world is like this, see, living in the abyss of ignorance, yet wise in their own conceit. Deluded fools go round and round, the blind led by the blind. See, they are deluded. See how you discriminate? That's a pure lie. You discriminate. And what I explained in the retreat, where the ensoulment and embodiment join, in the middle and become one. Did I tell you that? Yeah. Ensoulment and embodiment. We are embodied, and God is ensouled, and we are embodied. They meet at one point, the middle point, here, the middle point. Then you become one. Then you become one. You have no left or right. You have no left brain or right brain. It's one. One brain. Wonderful, beautiful brain. Yeah, better than the brawn. And the deltoid. Okay. Yeah. So, to the thoughtless youth, he was a youth. He was not a youth. He was a 12-year-old boy. To the thoughtless youth, deceived by the vanity of earthly possessions, vanity. The path that leads to the eternal abode is not revealed. Therefore, he didn't want to reveal unless he tested why. He doesn't have any worldly ambitions of having possessions and all those things. He wanted the reality and truth. What is truth? What is reality? So to the thoughtless youth, deceived by the vanity of earthly possessions, the path that leads to the eternal abode is not revealed. This world alone is real. There is no hereafter. Thinking thus, that the foolish people, thinking thus, he falls again and again, birth after birth, into my jaws. jaw of death, right?
Jaws.
Jaw of death.
Spielberg must have been.
Yeah. See, to many, it is not given to hear of the self. Many, though they hear of it, do not understand it. Wonderful is he who speaks of it. Intelligent is he who learns of it. Blessed is he who, taught by a good teacher, is able to understand it. See how many things are there to know. See, wonderful is he. See how beautifully they say, wonderful is he who speaks of it. He speaks. He may not understand it. Intelligent is he who learns of it, really learns. You can read book and speak about it. Then the intelligent person will, he will learn of it. Mm-hmm. Blessed is he who, taught by a good teacher, is able to understand it. See, understanding the realization, to understand. So, the truth of the self cannot be fully understood when taught by an ignorant man. There are so many ignorant men teachers who read the books and go on lecturing these Swamis. I'm sorry. They all come and go on doing all those things. You are bewitched by them, I tell you. Because they have got all the embellishments, attendants and all sorts of things they have got. They put on a garland and sit there and talk to you. They become fat and fat and fat. One good person who came here was Yogananda, I tell you, in the olden days. Afterwards he came, but Yogananda was one of the really a brilliant man. So, okay, the truth of the self cannot be fully understood when taught by an ignorant man. For opinions regarding it, not founded in knowledge, vary one from another. Subtler than the subtlest is this self. Sukshma, Sukshmataram. It's very beautiful aspect, the illustration, So subtler than the subtlest is the self, and beyond all logic. You don't say it is illogical, because it doesn't fit into your logic or scientific terms. It doesn't, logic. Taught by a teacher who knows the self and Brahman as one, the God and self are same. They are not different. A man leaves vain theory behind and attains to truth. Vain theories. There was a lot of theories, scientists have a lot of theories, physicists have a lot of theories. We have a lot of theories also. While cooking, you have a lot of theories about cooking, But if you produce the real food, it's different from having theories about it. Right? So that's what it is. Yeah, and that man attains to truth. The awakening which thou hast known does not come through the intellect. That we have got, all intellect we have got. It's not intelligence, it doesn't come from the intellect. Intelligence, it comes from intellect. We become sometimes street smart, Street smart, So, yeah, intellect. But rather, in fullest measure, from the lips of who? That lips of the wise. Comes from lips of the wise. Yeah. Behold, Nachiketa, blessed art thou, because thou seekest the eternal. Would that I had more pupils like you. I got good people. So I'm glad about it. Yeah. Well, I know that earthly treasures last but till the morrow. It's gone. For did not I myself, wishing to be king of death, he king of death, make sacrifice with fire? But the sacrifice was a fleeting thing. Even sacrifice is a fleeting thing, Performed with fleeting objects. I desire to get this worldly object, Yeah. And small is my reward. Seeing that only for a moment will my reign endure. his reign as king of death. Only sacrifice everything he made to attain that position. Yeah, it was temporary. He realized that the goal of worldly desire, the glittering objects for which all men long, the celestial pleasures they hope to gain by religious rites, the most sought after miraculous powers, all these were within my grasp. All you can have, I tell you that. But all these, with firm resolve, thou hast renounced. He has renounced all these things. I tell you, boy. We don't even have a penny. You don't get this. Yeah. But he renounced all these pleasures of the world, pleasures of the paradise, heavenly existence, all wealth, everything he renounced. He asked that question, how beautiful, one boy, 12-year-old boy. The ancient, effulgent being, the indwelling spirit, ancient of times, that means, subtle, deep hidden in the lotus of the heart, is hard to know. Is deeply hidden in the lotus of our heart, but still hard to know, right? Because we don't know our heart. Yeah. Our heart becomes a flirt, so we don't know the real heart. Yeah. The wise man, following the path of meditation, knows him and is freed alike from pleasure and from pain, both. Where there is pleasure, there is pain. Where there is pain, there is pleasure. Just all those things are there. The man who has learned that the self is separate from the body, the senses, and the mind, and has fully known him, the soul of truth, the subtle principle, such a man verily attains to him, and is exceeding glad because he has found the source and dwelling place of all felicity. Okay. Truly do I believe, O Nachiketa, that for thee the gates of joy stand open. We'll stop it here, and I'll give you. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, I tell you that. And I want to teach you all those Upanishads. They are so beautiful, But here we stop today because it's nearing 9 o'clock and they say, I'm speaking more. I can speak. They will read. So the Upanishads, as I told you, they are the crown jewels of spirituality. They are so wonderful. And you see, simple, it's so simple. And so clearly they stated. So clearly. And we go after, pleasure and all those things and seek, then we think we are speaking spirituality. Without knowing what the value of spirituality is. We know the value of dollars and cents, but not the spiritual value. Spirituality is something beyond the measure of human endeavor of this world, or desire of this world. Beyond. Of course, I don't say you should not have some worldly pursuits, because your constitution says pursuit of happiness. All should have. Right? It says pursuit of happiness. But how long it will last? That's what I'm telling, how long it will last. And in the pursuit of happiness, you do a lot of wrong things. Right? You wage wars and occupy countries and kill people. How many people died you don't get the news. Yeah, I never in times of India. They got news. And AT&T has some news. They give it on the computer sometimes. 30,000 people were killed in Iraq. You'll never get the news. You'll never get the news. Yeah. All children, innocent people, because you have the power to bomb them. So heinous crime it is. You may be right in way. I don't say Saddam Hussein is a good person or anything. No, he's not. But to wage a war against a country and kill 30,000 people is a heinous crime. That's what I say. Who is responsible for that, I will not say. Who is responsible for it? That's a heinous crime. So in that, war was not justified at all. In Mahabharata, people ask me why Mahabharata they justified the war, because there is every cause to justify the war, because they exhausted all means, Sama, Danda, Veda, they already call it. All means they ultimately even Krishna, the God incarnate, goes as an ambassador on behalf of Pandavas and ultimately asked, okay, give them 5 villages. They were driven away from all their inheritance and everything, Give them 5 villages, They refused to give 5 villages. And even Duryodhana said, I won't give you a land that can just sit on the top of a pin. See, I want to give you that much. Then they had to. For the right, that's called it is Dharma Yuddha. That means it is righteous war. It was a righteous war. So you must distinguish between those things, how it works. Suppose any sense of war is not good. So that's what you have to have. And we don't, you don't feel, you have not felt the war effects. You have not felt anything except some economic problems. You had some this market going up and down. That's what you just saw. Nothing else. There may be one soldier dying and that's the only thing you saw. Nothing else. But you see, that's what happens. And they will never give the news to you. It's all censored and controlled. Yeah. So, see, that's not the point. My point is, do your life, something worth living and worth loving, worth caring for, with full understanding of your own rights and your own capacity, your own aptitude, intelligence, and yearning. That's the only yearning we have, the yearning for God. That's the yearning. That song we used to sing, Talbots, right? The yearning for God. That's only yearning for God. So that's the only permanent thing. Nothing else is permanent. Today it is there, tomorrow you are dead and gone. That will be here. Nothing now. And if you have children, they will fight for your properties. They will fight for your properties. So, nothing you take away with you. Not even the body. It is eaten by worms, or it is burnt, or eaten by worms. Nothing you take, not your body. Which has come everywhere with you, you must know that. It goes everywhere you go, even the toilet it goes. Your car will not go into toilet. Aeroplane will not go into toilet. See? But this body goes wherever it is. But that body, which is so dear to and near to you, goes in dirt, dust to dust, ash to ash. Yeah. So, it's all right to have wealth and enjoy it. Fine, it's fine. But don't have the vanity of it. Don't be vain. And there was a very famous film actor who at the time of that, he earned a lot of money. I forget his name. It was before my time. I forget his name. He had a lot of money he earned. But he said, it has not brought me any happiness. See, it has not brought me any happiness. I abuse my body and I suffer because of that. So, you must know that how these things work. It's very beautiful to know, very beautiful to understand these things. You feel very energetic when you understand these things. Understanding is energy, you must know. If you don't understand, you lose your energy. Understanding is energy. But you go after many people, it doesn't matter. But understand. Understanding is energy. If you don't understand, you don't get energy at all. You repent, you reminisce, and all those things you do if you don't understand it. Whether done right or wrong, all those things you go on ruminating, So it will divide you, it will fragment you in many ways. So you lead a fragmented life, in a fragmented body, with a fragmented mind, and fragmented thoughts. See? And they became monsters in dreams, devils in dreams, They haunt you in dreams. That's what the dreams are. Our ordinary horrible dreams we get. That's what it is. All the fragmented things. Yeah. It's chatter, always. The fragment chatter. Then your brain becomes almost diluted. Then you'll go into depression. Yeah. Because you have oppressed your beautiful self. That is your friend all the time. His friend in birth, his friend in death, his friend in deed and friend in need also. All those it is. It is self. So only that you realize, study this, study this, Upanishads, they are beautiful. Yeah. Voice of the eternal. Voice of the eternal. That's what Jesus got, all those things. He heard the voice of the eternal. Yeah. The whoever your incarnation, it's not a matter of that. These Upanishads are written some. Of course, whatever now they say about 10,000 years ago, but it was more than that. It was before even the Dead Sea Scrolls. If the Dead Sea Scrolls is attributed to Isaiah, and also they say he had access to it. That means it is not very old, older than Isaiah, you see. So it's whatever it is, but it's not the controversial things. We don't want to enter into controversy. There is no controversy about God, I guess. Even the scientist, when he finds something wrong, he cannot do it. Oh my God, he says. The scientist, in whose dictionary there is no God, But he's, oh my God, he will say that. See, he's a popular guy. God is a popular guy. Everybody will say that. Yeah. That's good, 9 o'clock. Oh Lord. I did a good thing. I pontificated in the retreat. In church. That's good, huh?
You boomed. Thunderous.
Iqbal is one of the greatest poets, उधर से घर भरे ना बरसा बरसता है वो मेरे मन में ओ बहने वाले ओ जाने वाले ओ जाने में ये जो दुआ मेरे लेके जा दरबार करे आप मुझे मेरा तो इंतजार में अकेला है करे ना कोई ना बरसे मन में तेरे वो दुआ जाने मांगे दुआ मेरे लेके जा दर्पण करे अर्पदा में लगाए जो दुआ मेरे मेरे भरे दिल आए, इश्क भरे दिल मेरे दुआ करने कभी ना लगी। हो जाने वाले, हो जाने वाले, दुआ में है तेरा, दुआ में है तेरा, दुआ में है तेरा। Iqbal. You heard of Iqbal? A great poet. They are all friends, you know. Yeah. So thank you for all who have attended this mystical meeting. All your majesties. And here comes Taj. आज करे तकरार मेरे इकरार भरे जो तकरार इकरार very beautiful. You know, if you know the language, it's so beautiful. You know. And these languages, Eastern languages, are such beautiful private rhythm. You'll find that in English, unless I write it.